Everyone, welcome to Peepo Coin channel. If you are new to the channel, I hope you will subscribe by the end of this video. You have probably already read the title and thought this is probably clickbait, but let me see if there is anything new. Correct. However, before we really get started with this video, I have one last thing to say. This isn't clickbait, sorry. I firmly think that a lot of people are going to be shocked by regular equities and even cryptocurrency. And the reason I say that is because underneath all of the hoopla, a very significant reversal is currently beginning to heat up. In order to ensure that you are all ready for what comes next, I would really like to take a moment to examine everything in this video. Since today has been going really well so far, I do want to start with analyzing the daily performance of cryptocurrency as a whole. Now, since we know that weekend price activity is just manipulation, do I think this will hold up against it? According to what I've been hearing, additional tariff talks will be disclosed on Sunday. I'm not really concerned with what occurs over the weekend, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm more concerned with what will occur the following week. However, it's a good green day so far. The real market capitalization of cryptocurrency is not particularly noteworthy. The overall gain for today is a rather constant 1.18%. Bitcoin is currently priced at about $84,000, XRP. Up around 3%, $2.12 isn't particularly noteworthy. I am aware that before to the lows, XRP was actually doing rather well. We haven't really surpassed any of the earlier peaks though for the most part. The good news is that XRP has maintained steady at $2 thus far. Bitcoin has maintained steady at $82,000. Therefore, there is still a lot of support for these projects, like as Bitcoin and even XRP. The majority of the space now, the range of ancient coins, is similar to the 2023 support. In my view, many of them are essentially bottomed out. Thus, I'm concentrating on gathering a few gems and will undoubtedly share what I purchased with everyone in the Discord channel. However, aside from that, we can see that there was a lot of buy pressure on XRP today based on the rich list purchases. We have more than 3.2 million being purchased on BIT. So, there was a slight sell-off on MEXI. Almost 1 million were sold there, and 500 and nearly 2,000 were purchased on OKX. After that, it's unclear how much XRP was exchanged on other exchanges. Once more, there was some buying going on, but nothing very noteworthy, such as whales amassing a huge fortune or anything. But we could observe the volume of trade. It's up almost 7% today at $5.310 billion, which makes it very evident that there was some purchase pressure on Bitcoin today. The volume was up over 26% today. Just so you know, the trading volume is now also a mix of buy and sell pressure. However, once more, I do believe that this market has been under a lot of purchase pressure. I believe that a floor will form on many of these charts as well, now that we are beginning to see some market stabilization. I believe that several of these projects are likely to experience some sort of large inflows in the near future. But aside from that, let's genuinely discuss what I mean when I say that we are beginning to notice a significant change in these markets. First of all, I would like to draw attention to this Watcher Guru post. Since we saw a significant update stating that 3.25 trillion was removed from the US stock market today, while 5.4 billion was added to the cryptocurrency market, many people are now claiming that the rotation is occurring from stocks into crypto. The side-by-side is now visible. Earlier today, the stock market looked like this. Additionally, here is how the cryptocurrency market appeared today. Furthermore, if we examine cryptocurrency bubbles at the moment, we can notice that they are generally quite green. Not just the top 100, but the top 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, and so on are all essentially green today. Sorry, but they're also fairly green in terms of exchanges. However, stocks are undoubtedly suffering more. However, many people are beginning to realize that it's people selling their equities and investing in cryptocurrency. Today, we also witnessed a significant influx of equities from the retail sector, which I will discuss in more detail shortly. However, it's more than just the fact that the market capitalization of cryptocurrency increased by billions. Additionally, we saw that the ratio of Bitcoin to MEG7 is at a record high. This is fascinating. It's beginning to indicate that there is a significant influx of money into Bitcoin and that it is beginning to gain attention outside of the stock market. As I've always said, it's likely that cryptocurrency will take off first before stocks begin to rise again. That has occurred numerous times. Even if we go all the way back to March 2020, for instance, cryptocurrency was somewhat of a leader at that time. However, even this demonstrates that, in contrast to equities, there is still a lot of support behind Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space. Furthermore, I believe that inflows in the form of the actual market capitalization are also a strong indicator of it. Now, I have published a post about the stock market meltdown we have been seeing in its entirety. I therefore stated that, given how long this has been going on, I'm rather certain that the entire stock market meltdown from the end of January was prearranged. The official start of the trade war actually occurred on January 24th, and the market has essentially been down ever since. Even if we consider XRP, this happened back in mid-January, you know. At this point, we began to trade a little and gradually calmed down until the end of January. Then, of course, the trade war officially began. Due to the market's fear of this trade war and its potential consequences, we have been trying to break out since we sold down, but there hasn't been any gain. As I mentioned before, we just saw the stock market lose a total of $10 trillion. Imagine the amount of money that has been sidelined and shook out of these markets. I now want to put into perspective what we are currently witnessing, which is a foreshadowing of a huge rally that is developing behind the scenes. First of all, major banks like JP Morgan, Goldman, Deutsche, and others are inciting fears of a recession. They are still pushing it, by the way. Have JP Morgan even over here. This year, Trump's tariffs will cause the U.S. to enter a recession. Following Trump's broad tariffs, JP Morgan has lowered its GDP prediction from 1.3% growth to 0.3% loss, predicting that the U.S. economy will contract this year. It is anticipated that unemployment would increase to 5.3%, with the Fed probably lowering interest rates at each meeting until January. Welcome to the 2025 edition of Stagflation, even as inflation continues to rise. Once more, this is where the market is truly at risk of a recession, and people are panicking because, guess what? We should pay attention to what JP Morgan has to say, right? The fact that people have so much faith in individuals like JP Morgan, who have been manipulating the metals markets for a very long time, is hilarious. In all honesty, JP Morgan and these large banks don't give a damn about you or me. For what reason would they alert us to a recession? They have no regard for us. Consequently, the large banks are now beginning to make frightful headlines and begin discussing their concerns about the recession. It's telling me that we should actually be getting ready for the opposite scenario, which is a significant rally at first, followed by a potential recession. The markets will undoubtedly be impacted, in my opinion. Difficult in 2025 or 2026, apologies. However, I do believe that 2025 will be a very significant year for cryptocurrencies and stocks. And despite all of the stories with pessimistic headlines that are being promoted and the increasingly loud bearish feeling, I still believe that. However, I added that fear and greed indexes are hitting single digits, indicating that retail sentiment is completely destroyed. Indeed, we did observe that the KB's letter and the fear and greed index began to somewhat shift over here. This week, the fear and greed index closed at 4 extremes. The market is more terrified now than it has ever been in recent history. If everyone in the audience is afraid, why should we be afraid now? Correct, I've stated it often, including in a prior video. Here, we have the opportunity to lead, so why would we follow? Alright, until we truly need to be afraid, I will not be afraid. I think we will be very successful right now if we do the exact opposite of what the masses are doing. And I continue to believe that this market will shock many people with this huge rise, which is similar to a relief rally. That's what you could name it. Whatever you want to call it, you can. I continue to believe that this is the next big move. As I mentioned earlier, Jim Cramer is urging boomers to sell the DXY since it is collapsing down, and mainstream media is pushing fear-mongering articles. I have stocks and cryptocurrency. Indeed, I suggest that you all go